Hi, this is Eric Robert from GlassEtchingSecrets.com, and I got a question from one of my email subscribers named David, and he was asking me about how you sign a signature into your glass by etching that into your glass. And the first response I told him was to use one of those rotary engravers. It's probably the easiest way to do it. And his response was that he was worried about how controllable the tip would be. And what I suggest for that is to get one that's very fairly sharp. There's all different types of glass rotary bits that you can use, but I usually suggest that you use ones that are kind of sharp, that have like a little point to it, because it's a lot easier to control and sign your signature on the glass. And really, you can get really inexpensive rotary tools like this one from Harbor Freight. It's kind of a cheap one. It's not that great. It kind of wobbles a little bit, but I can just kind of give you that as an example. But there's also some that go up into the $100 to $200 range. So just to show you that, see, it didn't turn out too bad. You can just wipe the dust away. And it's not too bad. You can practice on that and try to get it your best. And like I said, you might want to get a better one than this cheap $10 one that I got from Harbor Freight, because it wobbles a little bit. So that's one method that you can sign your signature in your glass etchings. But of course, there's many different ways. The other one I want to talk about is to use one of these mini sandblasters that have a really fine tip. And I actually made my own mini sandblaster, as you can see here. And I don't have it hooked up right now, but you can basically see with the tip here, it's really small and very fine. And once you turn that on, you can actually sign your name by getting it really close. Now, if you have a larger sandblaster and just have a finer tip, that'll work also, because a lot of tips that we use in glass etching are very small diameter. So as long as you make it, turn down the air pressure and just do it really close, you might be able to sign your name that way too, that you can try. Now, the other way that I want to suggest that I kind of like is, once you have your stencil on your glass, let me put that on real quick. So once you have your glass, once you're etching your glass, and you already have the stencil on typically. Now what I was suggesting here is to use one of these, it's kind of like a soldering iron, but you can use it to cut stencils. And they have a whole bunch of different tip sizes here. As you can see, this is a very fine tip. And I like to use this when just cutting into my stencil. And you can see how I do that. Basically just burns into the stencil. And once you have that cleared out, you might want to look up in the light, make sure those lines are all cleared out. And if you're using etching cream, this method might not be the best, because there's probably still a little bit of the stencil that's kind of melted into those lines. You can try it though. You can try that method with the cream etching. Or the best way, like that I suggest, is to use sandblasting. Because even if there's a little bit of leftover melted stencil in there, the sandblaster will usually blow it out and blast through it. So I'm gonna sandblast that, and I'm gonna come back and show you what it looks like. But before I do that, I want to just explain some of the other methods that you can do. And one is to use the photoresist. What you can do with that, if you're familiar with the photoresist, all you do, you can use maybe a Sharpie marker and write onto the transfer sheet, and then expose that on your photoresist. That's another way. And the other way besides that is to actually cut out your name. And you could possibly do that by either cutting it out manually, like writing your name with a Sharpie marker on here, and taking an X-Acto blade to cut it out. But that's definitely not the best way. So you can even use your cutter if you can somehow upload your signature into your computer. Those are the other ways. I don't really like them as much. I like these two ways the best. So let me sandblast this and I'll come back and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, now I'm back from my sandblaster. You can see I sandblast over that stencil area. And then you can go ahead and pull that off, see what it looks like. And of course, use a razor blade to help scratch all the little pieces off. And there you have it. Turned out pretty well. Just some adhesive on there a little bit, but clean that off and it looks pretty good. So I hope you enjoy these tips. I'm trying to get to more soon. And if you have any questions, please leave a comment below. I'll also I'll try to give you some sources, some links to where you can get this type of equipment, so you can check that out and give it a shot. So thanks for watching.